Our apples and snakes, poetry with bite.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming. You've stumbled across or decided to come to P of Southampton's A to Z of music, and P stands for performance poetry. So we're going to be performing some poems for you today, alongside a pianist and musician. So thank you for coming. I don't know if you all came in because of the rain outside. That's why I darted in. I'll introduce us. We're a local poetry collective called Alphapoetica, and it's made up of me, I'm Sean Douglas, Angela Chicken, Ben Lawrence, Matt West, and our musician is Ricardo Serrano. I've been practicing saying that all day. Okay, Ricardo's. We're going to all take turns saying a poem. So if you get bored of one of us, that's fine. There'll be someone else on shortly. Okay, so I'll start off, and the first poem, accompanied by music, is called "I Could Tell You." Your brother's next door, and the walls are thin. Do you think that he knows, as I slowly move in, what's happening in the room you used to share? You sigh and say, if he ever knew, he'd split your skull with a snooker cue. But I'd come and visit you on intensive care. My thoughts, as I ache for the arc of your back, would shame even a matinee man in a Mac, who's wondering what to do with his last fiver. We have nothing in common, no pastime shared. We're united now only by the skin that we've bared, and this perilous rope bridge of saliva. I could say the words, I love you, but you might ask to see the proof. I could whisper, babe, I love you, or I could just tell the truth. I don't bring commitment forged in a ring. As we know well, I am here for one thing. Do I look like I'm into conversation? There's comedy in passion though. I thought I heard applause as I took you over the IKEA chest of drawers, till the window was laughing tears of condensation. I could say the words I love you, but you might ask to see the proof. I could whisper, babe, I love you, or I could just tell the truth. You give me head aches, stronger than earthquakes, softer than snowflakes that fall when the breeze shakes. The sacred tree that stands at the edge of the garden, with commandments on your lips and a genuflecting knee. You lay down the law as you whisper to me. You're not leaving this room as long as you have a Lawrence and Ricardo. So we pour and we pant to what both saw and spent. To think that I thought I could give up for Lent. These nights when I traced your desire back to its root. And as you lie there, confused on the sheets, I tend to your bruise with a stray line of Keats. Will you ask me to be your poetry quoting brute? I could say the words I love you, but you might ask to see the proof. I could whisper, babe, I love you, or I could just tell the truth. Then something strange happens as I drive home one night, and your house in the rear view is just out of sight, and my memory leaves you perfected on all fours. I've fallen for you in a terrible way, a predator freed by its pitying prey, from a rusty cage whose bars are made of lust and character flaws. I thought I could stay distant and cold, but now I imagine us both growing old, underneath the ever swirling, changing weather. I suppose, to be plain, I think we should be like loyal green leaves on the same swaying tree, turning to the summer lights together. I could say those words, I love you, but you might ask to see the proof. I could whisper, babe, I love you, and as of now, that wouldn't be far from the truth. Thank you.
I'm going to do, can you hear me? I can't hear me. Is it alright? Oh, okay. 3 little poems from me, something a little bit different, and I'm going to start with one which is called Cariño. Suavemente, bésame, quisiera sentir tus labios besándome otra vez. It's not important that he came from Mexico, but when he spoke of an intercambio de lenguas, my knees failed me. I never was a religious woman, but the pull of the beads of the rosario caught me deep inside and shook out my dusty heart. A danzón is a dance like any other, a woman and a man, music, a mapping out of geometrical shapes with our feet. Aguacate, mariposa, beso, only words, mi amor. Here's a little poem I wrote for my son, which is about how sometimes it seems as if everybody else has got all the nice toys and all the other lovely things are going on, and we want to have the next thing and the next thing. And I wanted to give him a poem which was about the things that we've already got, and it's called Good Times. These are things we do together, outdoor walks in rainy weather, cheese and crackers, watching telly, making biscuits, making jelly, scanning in the food in Asda, eating bowls of steaming pasta, Weymouth in a caravan, laughing hard at Jackie Chan. In the summer, riding bikes, home for fish and chips at Mike's, homemade milkshakes, nana, honey, Chinese buffet when there's money, making Lego Star Wars kits, trying not to lose the bits, singing songs by Black Eyed Peas, cooking while you grate the cheese. Doesn't matter what we say, always have a perfect day. Sometimes bored, and sometimes shouting, this is real though, never doubting, we are special, you and me. even when we're ordinary. And the last one is about a time when I was on my own as a mother and felt very lonely and kind of thought it through and realised that I wasn't alone at all. And it's called Invisible. I'm thinking of mothers lying backstage in their bedrooms, alone in the dark stillness of the children sleeping, wordlessly anticipating, planning, calculating, dreaming, remembering, checking a footstep outside, eavesdropping on the murmurs of faraway cars, planes, trains, silence. All over town, an eternity of shadows. Women in rooms becoming themselves again, as they were when they were girls, but not quite. As they will be when they are old, perhaps. Some I know, and some I'll never know, and my own mother, and hers too. Everything winding down. How beautiful we are when no one sees us. And next I'm going to introduce Matt West.
Right, hello lovely people. Now, before we start, let's get one thing clear. Just because I do performance poetry doesn't mean to say I'm not hard of hearing. So, when I heard about this alphabet in the city, I thought I'd write some new material. And this is the first poem.
a choice delicacy for his lunch.
Next up, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ben Lawrence.
Hello everybody. This first one's called Divide and Conquers. Across a sea of red, fallen leaves, plastic poppies, pins lost, I see him. Battle-hardened, scarred, his weapon in hand, and in command of his shoelaces. He is a one-man army as he rides towards me, high up on his horse chestnut. I am new to this, too small for my uniform, inexperienced and nervous, no tic-tacs to speak of, and as shriveled husks rustle beneath my velcros, he charges, intent on breaking another, like autumn's past. And suddenly he attacks, over the top. I'm under fire, shells strike, thunderclaps, and detonation. And I find myself attempting retaliation, taking shots, a guerrilla with a conker. But he will not cease fire. This is playground warfare. Because what is war if not fair? Explosions, cracks in my armour as he stretches his artillery, sensing casualty and victory. Shrapnel litters the floor, shattered dreams stamped on by bully feet. Always honourable in defeat, bottom lip quivers, hope for peace. And one more called Independence is Futile. Let Salmond be William Wallace or Robert the Bruce. Cameron can act the evil English king. And let's recreate Bannockburn. No mercy, no truce. Let's war with words. May the best Brits win. The tartan-wearing, caber-tossing, Mars-bars deep fryers have got cold feet and the wind up their kilts. So let's whip out the prenup, burn bridges, start fires. We want the kids and Hadrian's wall rebuilt. They can have Arthur, his seat and maybe John O'Groats, but we want Ben Nevis at the oil. At last we can do away with RBOS and Scottish banknotes, no more Gordon Brown or Susan Boyle. Despite fictional Scotch heritage, Macbeth and James Bond are almost certainly English at heart. And that monster they're hiding in that oversized pond is about as distant as good Scottish art. Round up the clansmen, the gingers, the grouse, send them over the borders with iron brew. Burn all the bagpipes, use whiskey to douse, and enjoy the sound of freedom, Ockeye the new. With the boundaries sealed tight and the kingdom parting, the rest of us will finally be released. 5 million fewer fat arses farting, national obesity would definitely decrease. So let them eat haggis, it tastes absolutely awful, and Rabbie Burns we can now defame. We walled out the Gaels because they were savage and unlawful, and today's Scots are evidently the same. However, as the Jacobite Rising was deflated at Culloden, so will the referendum of 2014. Mr. Salmond is just Bonnie Prince Charlie made modern, a pretender just trying to cause a scene. So forget independence, it's a repetitive debate, just like, will Andy Murray ever win a Grand Slam? And despite this blatant spewing of SNP-aimed hate, I'm fond of the Union, I really am. So, because where would we be without general anaesthetic, without Highland cattle, without great British weather? So sing Auld Lang Syne, be loud, be energetic, and let's celebrate Hogmanay together. Cheers. I hope I didn't offend anybody, but this isn't just about us, it's about P for piano as well, which is why we're going to now hear some beautiful music from Ricardo.
Yeah, there are a few seats down here if anyone's standing and would prefer to take the weight off their feet. Okay, this next poem is about a place I come from. It's a little village in the middle of England called Birmingham. Beautiful place. And it's called Slum Street Blues. It's got a little bit of audience participation as well. Nothing more than a finger click. I'll tell you when. That blues music. It's not the Adams Family. The dealer's dogs are snarling. A man smelling of death and carling says, "Oh, come here, darling, I've got something for you." But she said, "I've already wasted far too many of my days with men like you who stood their souls out in novelty ashtrays." D.I. Bent as a 2-bob bit comes round with his identikit. Stop, 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 search, and a glove might fit. But a twitching neck curtain, wall of silence falls as he trawls from door to door. The lips round here as if you see, people don't talk to the Lord. I've got nothing in my wallet, I've got nothing left to lose. Nothing, that is, but the Slum Street Blues. Next door neighbour's window smashed, a boy's decent job dreams dashed, a stolen car kamikaze crashed and burnt out in the council garages just across the road in full technicolor view. An old woman looks out, tuts, just carries on feeding her cockatoo. The ghosts are looking round to school, the bailiffs are banging at the door. The kids are told to lie on the floor by Mr. Green, who's not been seen since. So the story goes, he left that night in his car with nothing but an old garden hose. I've got nothing in my wallet, I've got nothing left to lose. Nothing, that is, but the Slum Street Blues. Linda lies on the sofa pinned, the end of term reports binned. Both the twins are Ritalined up to their black ops eyeballs, and posters fall from mildewed walls in forgotten children's rooms. My mother, the dealer, my blossom scent, the burning petrol fumes. And they don't like it when we mention a woman scraping by on a pittance of a pension, the underlying racial tension that cackles and crackles like a fire, eating from below. On this rumour-strewn summer night, the streets are ready to blow. I've got nothing in my wallet, I've got nothing left to lose. Nothing, that is, but Slum Street Blues.
Right, a couple more little ones. And the first one was inspired by a workshop I did with the poet Lawrence and Ricardo recently. And he invited us to take one of his poems and make it our own. So change the words, basically. So really this is his poem, but today it's mine. And it's called Let There Be Friends. Let there be friends, so small boys hold hands invisible on the walk home from school. And teenage girls in garages compose dance routines fit to blind casual onlookers. And the sons and daughters of the dead, cheered on in the last stretch, race through tree-lined crematoria, all out for the finish. Let there be friends. Let hospitals glitter like Viennese restaurants, and appointment letters, gold embossed, drop like winning scratch cards through hungry letterboxes. So the old in wards hold glorious court like sun kings, and fawning chefs serve dishes painfully reconstructed from the memories of their long-dead mothers. Let bodies tumbling from skyscrapers float like feathers, lackadaisical, and land princess-like on mountains of hastily scrambled velvet pillows. Let there be friends. Let kitchen tables stand invincible against the bursting and unpeeling hearts, and let tea flow like the Volga. Let new mothers ride beneath tasselled canopies like queens on elephants, and let each child be the first child ever. Let survivors open like flowers under summer rain and give birth to perfumes as yet unimagined, and let the silent gardens sigh. Now, a very brief local poem for anyone who remembers the chain ferry, floating bridge. Now I'll go back further than ought to be. Oh, one! Super. This one's called Drifting. Off on the floating bridge you were, when the chain broke and you drifted downstream. Your story almost lost as you are now. A secret whispered in a church in the queue for the toilet by a woman you knew. Now I hold this memory too, though I paint it differently. I wonder where you got to. And I'm going to finish with a poem about a lovely moment in a playground in Southampton, and it's called Glide. Like sailboats on a still wide river, in the golden evenings where I live, gather like birds under the arching tree, while their children spill, scatter, run far and wide, in twos and threes and sixes, like marbles across a playground. They nod and greet, smile, shake hands, hold babies, dust off toddlers, settle arguments, return to the stillness of the shade, rest easy in the silence. Thank you. And now we're back to Matt West again.
This next poem is something of an exercise in phonetic alphabetic phonetics that goes by the name of animatics, a portmanteau word that joyously herds the animal kingdom to the sphere of human language. Sharing space beside me is the local artist Nina Fraser, whose artwork accompanies the poem, fittingly for the archive. And it goes a bit like this. Alphabetic animals ain't automatically aardvarks, as awesome and amazing as aardvarks actually are. An alligator, awful and angry, always arrives as an activist and allegedly attacks. But beware. Brown bears become bothersome beasts because brown bears bite. Big bites by brown bears bleed badly. Better be badgered by beautiful budgerigars. Birds belong beyond words. Butterflies behave best. Cats could cause chaos, creeping carefully, claws clutching carpets. Children chuckle, because cats chase cotton cords, creating cartwheels, charging capriciously, carelessly, catapulting confidently, because cats can. Dogs don't. Dogs dig. Discovering dirt, dogs dig diligently, determinedly, deeply, distastefully digesting dirty, dark dogs. Dutiful dogs desist digging. Dependable dogs deliver delightful days. Dreaming dogs dither. Drooling, dewy drops. Disgust. Enter enormous, excessive entity, elephant. Elephants explore everything, even enclosures excluding elephants. Evidence extends everywhere elephants enter. Empathetic elephants' eyes express every emotion. Exasperated elephants, frightful, fly far from fetish power, fertile fetishes fall. Fornicating foxes feature frequently, forming fathers from furry, fixated, foraging food feeders. Fretful farmers fear from foxes finding fat and foul, forgetting foxes fear from fretful farmers. G. God gave gormless goldfish ginormous gifts. Gold. Gangly giraffes grow gigantic, gobbling green growth gracefully. Gorillas greet gregariously, groom generously. Gorillas gesticulate, growl, grin, gabble. Gorillas get grimy goes. Hungry horses have harvested hay heaped high. Hedges house hidden hedgehogs. Helpless, hapless hedgehogs hate highways. Hamsters have hidey holes. Hippopotamus is urban. Hippopotamus is heavy. Huge. Insightful iguanas inspire imaginative images, instinctively imitating environments immaculately. If I inhabit igloos, I imagine iguanas' invisibility is improbable. If I investigate iguanas intimately, I imagine I'll indicate impassivity. Jabbering jackals jump jauntily. Jocose Japanese jackasses juggle juicy jellyfish gingerly, jestfully jettisoning jaundiced jelly. Jackdaws just jangle jewellery. Juvenile joeys, kangaroos kick. Kangaroo karate kicks kill kiwis, knocking kidneys and knobbling knees. Kiwis kidnap kangaroos. Keening koalas, cookie kids killing kittens. Kibosh calm. Lions lay lethargically like lenient lepers, lounging lazily, lamenting lost llamas. Ladies love lynx. Look lively, ladies. Lingering lice love long, luxurious locks. Levitating ladybirds live life lightly. Little lambs leap like lost lemmings. Labradors lick lavatories. Many men might make my menagerie. Matthews, Marks, Miles, maybe Mikes, Martins, Morrises. More may merge merrily. Mighty mammoths, militant mules, mustangs, muskrats, Mustafa Meerkat making marketing manageable. Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, magical merlins, moths, mantas make my mix melodious, my mirth mellifluous, my mission meticulous. Not nasty, not nefarious. Now, nice narratives never neglect naming newts nor natterjacks. Newts need noticing near narrow natural nooks. Neither natterjacks nor newts need nationality, napalm, narcotics, nor necrophilia. No, not nice. Omnivorous ogling orangutans all occupy our omnipotent ordered oeuvre. Others, omnipresent oxidizing organisms, octopuses or orcas ought only occupy oceans. Plunging penguins prefer polar paddling pools, plucking crime particles, pushing pieces past parched pallets. Paddocks park playfully prancing, plough-pulling ponies. Plump pigs protest pork production, preferring pungent poop. Quirky quails queue quietly, questioning quill quotas, quitting queer quests quickly. Renegade reactionary roosters respond raucously, resonating ridiculously repetitive refrains. Reptiles retreat rapidly. Research reveals roaming rhinoceros running rampantly, romping readily, ramming Range Rovers spontaneously, splitting spoilers, shattering screens, scaring survivors. Slippery snakes slide silently, strike suddenly, stomaching small, sorry souls. Sophisticated scavengers, sprightly squirrels steal, sneakily snatching shiny souvenirs, taking tidbits tenaciously. Timorous tiger training tamers tend to tread tactfully. Tigers, terrifying, traumatizing teeth tear tissue totally. Talons treacherously terminating tendons. Tethering tiny terrapins takes time, takes talent. Unstable utopian utterers unashamedly offer, utter, unsubstantiated, unexplainable, unequivocal unicorn utterances. Unverifiable. Verbalizing banished vintage visitors violates veritable verse, vilifying versifiers. Voles, vultures, vipers, validate verily. Venerable vets vaccinate vast verdant valleys, vicariously vanquishing vile vermin. Well, we're winning. Warping whimsical words, wending ways wistfully. Wallowing whales would wonder why? Wintering wildebeest wouldn't wait, wouldn't want willfully wild words, waxing, waning, wasted wood with writing. What? Wachinosaurus extinct? Why, yes, yodel youthful yabbering yaps. Yonder, zealous Zulus zap zigzagging zebras, zestfully zipping this zany, zonal zoo. Thank you very much. And next, we have the delightful Ben Lawrence.
I never know how to follow that, but this is a poem I wrote called King of the Spinners, about a guy up in Portswood who has a lot of stuff outside his shop, so I hope you enjoy it. There is nothing better than having clean clothes, because I go out into Portswood on a night and I see all of those rogues and they've got stains on their shirt from God knows what, and they smell like they're starting to decompose. And I think to myself, I am their saviour. I am the man who could cleanse their souls quite literally, be it through a mangle using gravity or centrifugally, be it top-loading, front-loading, Zanussi or Bosch. I am the man you come to if your stuff needs a wash. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am the washing machine king. The prince of the tumble dryers, the man with the drums, and I know that when Judgment Day comes, I will be let in through those pearly gates with a minimum of fuss. Because I am whiter than white. I use Daz. Yet, there's one thing that troubles me. She's been going round and round a constant spin cycle, and I just wish she'd notice me once in a while. But she's cooler than cool. In fact, she's ice cold, and I know I have to be bold and not Purcell or Ariel. She's got CFCs, and by that I mean completely fantastic calves, and even though she may be a little overstocked, she's still the one and only fridge freezer queen. I saw her the other day, up in Iceland. She was shopping in the frozen foods aisle. I looked deep into her eyes and I just swear that just for a while, a light went on inside her head as she recognised who I was. But she quickly moved away to browse the ice cream because that's what she does. And then just yesterday, she walked past my shop And she looked so amazing, I just had to stop and shout her name. "Crystal! Crystal!" I yelled. And she turned right around. I looked at her, smiled and held my ground, and a couple of seconds passed as she assessed my machines. And then she walked towards me in clothes so clean, stood in front of me enthralled, and that was when I asked her out on a date. She's coming round tonight at 8, and I'm cooking for her. I'm making her a right nice meal, chili and baked Alaska. Cheers. After hearing Matt's poem for the first time, I decided to do something similar, which is a univocalic poem which only uses one vowel. So this is one with only the vowel E in it. 2012, Westerners tell legends. Expect tempests, severe wetness never yet seen. Every event decrees the end of men, hell's revenge where the blessed yell vehemently, redeem the select few. The reverent gentleman, the pew dependent, the meek, be the shepherd, we the sheep. Mercy me, expel the heresy, wreck the temptresses, the sex pests, the green-eyed, the sherbet dependent, the lepers, the lechers, the perverted embezzlers, the ferret keepers, the Welshmen. My peers, never heed these screeches. Never be the enemy, never desert these trenches. See, when strength seems senseless, when three were even, when jelly never set, then the speechless needed letters. Here, when the present feels spent, when the verb's tense reverses, when the best eyes never see, then the restless need rhythm. When perfect extremes seem pretty, when Jekyll meets Hyde, when men perfect neglect, then we need rhyme. Verse frees the repressed. Cheers. And one last one from me. I thought as we were doing an art gallery, it might be nice to do one. I wrote about art, so, well, and poetry, obviously, but this is it. There are nights when I want to jump into a Turner or a Constable, abide inside the art of Michelangelo, or make myself comfortable deep in the mind of Darwin. Partly because at times the world of Pablo Picasso is far more exciting than being reminded of reality, and the visions of Van Gogh are as timeless as the persistence of memory. But most importantly, because the human imagination is the most magical instrument of creativity in existence. And to be able to experience the genius of Leonardo or Andy Warhol allows me, a mortal, to perceive the divine. Just for a second, I stand in the shoes of Rembrandt or Jackson Pollock, painting that last line on number 5, 1948, and I realise that although I do not own a palette or a canvas, I am still a painter, an artist, a creator, using words as watercolours, a tongue as a brush, and the notion that one day I too might be great, like Caravaggio or Monet. Cheers.
We're nearly done now. Thank you for coming and listening. It's lovely to see so many people here, despite the weather and such. We have been Alphapoetica. We still are for another 10 minutes. And after that, we'll disband. Have we talked about that? Yeah, we've got a mailing list as well. If anybody wants to, any more information about us as performers or when we're going to perform again and that kind of stuff. I think there are a couple on the seats and stuff, or just come and talk to us. Lots of people have made this possible. Catherine here from Turner Sims has sorted out all the sound. The library staff have been very good. Pete from the Apples and Snakes Poetry organisation has been very helpful. And so this has been Matt West. We have Ben Lawrence, Angela Chicken, I've been Sean Douglas, and this has been Ricardo. I'm going to finish with a quick poem, and then Ricardo's going to play us out with his beautiful music. Okay. This is based on a true story. It's called The Secret. A strange stamp from a distant land, a letter held in a shaking hand, an unknown son, a life unplanned, a baby babbled on a teenage knee. She was snagged with guilt as she caught a glance of her husband stood there in his pants, watering the tomato plants in their new brick-built conservatory. He said, "What did the postman bring? Anything interesting?" She started to fiddle with her wedding ring, then opened her mouth, but couldn't talk, for she knew that she could never reply to the bittersweet apple of her eye, or the honesty of a lifelong lie would wither like a sun-scarred stalk. I've got a secret, and it sits beside me in this room. I've dragged it down the years, and I'll take it with me to my tomb. Air raid sirens, AM, PM. People thought best start carping the DM. She met a lad from back home called Liam as the chaos of the night reigned above. She fell like a bomb for his wide-eyed charms, his chat-up lines from the Book of Psalms, his hold me in the shadow of thy arms, and bathe me in thy wondrous love. But then people followed strict moral laws, girls who showed their knees were whores. Women always did the household chores, and a lass would flinch from her lover's touch. As the bombs rattled the blacked out door, they enjoyed each other on the scullery floor. Her good looks were her downfall, sure. Her mother always said as much. I've got a secret, and it sits inside me in this room. I've dragged it down the years, and I'll take it with me to my tomb. In dreams he'd hear a soft voice say, I had no choice but to give you away. That dreadful bleak Manchester day, many, many years ago. He tried to find out her address, sent letters to the local northern press. It's all very well trying to second guess, but some things you just have to know. Did she cut him clean from her mind? Was she now lonely, housebound, blind? Or had she maybe managed to find a happiness of some strange sort? The words escape across the page. An imposed sentence tries to gauge if she might write back at some stage. The letter is sealed and a stamp is bought. I've got a secret, and it sits beside me in this room. I've dragged it down the years, and I'll take it with me to my tomb. Thank you. Thanks again all for coming. You've been a very good audience, and if you want any more information, come and talk to us. We're not really disbanding. I was just making it wanting to make you feel like you were at a really important event, which you were. But come and talk to us. Thank you.
Our apples and snakes, poetry with bite.